If you're a beginner artist, this video is going to make your life infinitely easier because today you're going to learn from all of my mistakes. And some of this may be a little counterintuitive, so this is going to be an interesting one. Hi, I'm Srish and I've been drawing and painting for 13 years. And in today's video, I want to share with you some art advice that I would have given my younger self, which would have made growing and improving as an artist a lot more efficient, a lot easier, and way less time consuming. This is the kind of stuff that you only really learn through experience unless someone tells you. So today, I want to be that someone who tells you about this stuff. Okay, first we're moving on to the penultimate painting in our Zodiac series, which, we are so close to the sweet end. I'm so excited. But yeah, today we're going to dive into a sketch for the Aquarius painting, and not to be dramatic, but I might be a little in love with this character. If you enjoyed this video and learned something today, please do remember to like and subscribe. Comment below what art advice you would give your younger self, and come say hello on Instagram and Discord. All of the links are down in the description. Alrighty, here's some art advice that I would give my younger self. When I first started drawing, I was 16. Yeah, it was a while ago, but I was distinctly surrounded by people who really didn't make visual art on any consistent basis. So there was really no one there to give me advice on where to take this skill, what to work on versus where to just not waste my time and so on. And while I'm still not around many visual artists by any means, there is still a lot that just time and experience have taught me. So if you're starting out with the same distinct lack of art advisors out there as I did, this is some very important advice that I want you to take with you on your journey. When it comes to creating memorable art, the vast majority of advice out there is all about focusing on the story. Come up with the concept first and then gather your sketches and references and so on. Now, this is great advice to a certain degree. Yes, memorable art usually conveys an important story, but I've found over time that sometimes I tend to almost obsess over telling a story, to the point where I don't even visually like the art I create, but I stick to it anyway because it's telling a story. Here's a couple of paintings that I actually did for two separate style studies, the Marco Bucci one and the Zine Chin one. They both tell very personal stories, but looking back, I really don't like either one of them, at least not visually. And while yes, there was a lot of constraint due to the style that I had to follow, these are still objectively below average paintings. My advice here is to step away for a sec and consider that maybe the story isn't the only important part of your painting. There is a need for art to be visually pleasing, at least if you want it to be popular and appreciated. Maybe a side piece of advice is to keep your personal art separate from your public art. That way you're not forced to put out paintings that you don't even like just because they tell a story. But in either case, I found that obsessing over the story in my painting has always held me back, almost to the point where I felt like a painting was cheap and unworthy if it didn't have the deepest, most meaningful lore behind it. Allow yourself to sometimes paint purely for the visuals simply because you like how it looks. That will bring back some much needed levity to your work. When you do have to tell a story through your art though, my biggest piece of advice is to first get utmost clarity on your hero element. Now, when I said that, you may immediately have thought of a literal hero, as in a character that takes center stage. But your hero element does not have to be a character. It is simply the aspect of your painting that has the most visual weight. This could be a super bright key light or a vibrant glowy element. Maybe there is a super fluorescent pop of color in an otherwise desaturated painting. Maybe it's a magical object, an element of nature, a piece of jewelry. The idea is to choose what your hero element is and then build the scene around it. This painting I did at the start of last year is my favorite example of this idea. There are two whole characters in this scene, but my hero element here was that cotton candy magical river. And so that was the bit of the painting that I gave the most visual weight to. The characters are there, but they purely exist to emphasize the cotton candy river rather than distract from it. Find a hero element for your piece and ensure that everything else in the scene serves only to enhance it. This one might seem a little paradoxical, but take up hobbies that are not drawing or painting related. The reason this may seem paradoxical is because other hobbies would take up your time that you would otherwise be able to use in order to paint some more. And yes, that is true. However, the rewards are significantly more valuable than any art that you would have got done in that time. The thing about hobbies and other fun skills is that they engage parts of your brain and body that you wouldn't necessarily use in your everyday life, especially when you paint. When I first started drawing with pencil on paper, art was my only hobby outside of academia. However, when art eventually became my full-time career, I didn't even realize that I had no other hobbies. And it wasn't until very recently, like only a couple years ago, that I considered that my frequent art blogs might have to do with just not having any creative, mental, or emotional outlets that are not art related. So first I picked up baking, and that healed a lot of the strange relationship I had with food. That was one art block out of the way. Then I picked up gardening, and that healed my impatience significantly. And as you know, patience is kind of incredibly important to see a painting through to the end. So there's another block sorted. Then I picked up crochet, and that taught me to think before I make a move, because one bad stitch could ruin a project. So now I've learned to be conscious of every brush stroke and color choice. With every new hobby that I've picked up over the last 3 years or so, I've seen parts of my art skill improve significantly. And now I wonder, had I picked up other hobbies about 12 years ago, how far would my art have come already? Okay, let's talk about social media. I know, yawn, everyone and their mum has had something to say about how social media is ruining your art. I don't need to sit here and tell you about all the ways in which viral TikToks are time consuming. You already know. Here's a quick solution. Compartmentalize your social media profiles. As an artist, it is immensely helpful to keep your personal social media profile separate from your art profile. I'm not just talking about the content that you create, but also the content that you consume. And not all social media platforms need to be in your sources of inspiration. Keep a separate profile where you only follow artists that inspire you so that your feed is uncluttered. And then take time out every day to scroll through that feed, because that way you're consuming a little bit of high quality art every single day. I like to do this in the evening with my giant cup of coffee, and it ensures that I'm always consuming more art than I'm creating. The proverbial cup never runs dry. So if you don't have social media, consider making a page just to seek inspiration from. And if you do have social media, separate your personal page from your art page. I did a video on why exclusively painting popular art is ruining your art skill, which is up here in the cards if you want to watch it after this video. But today I want to talk about how and why we tend to get in a painting rut. Thing is, we create loads and loads of paintings, and sometimes one of them turns out incredible. We get all the compliments in the world, we feel absolutely accomplished, and it's like we finally found our signature style. And then we stick to it forever, painting the same type of thing over and over again until we eventually hate the idea of drawing one more painting. Boom, you've painted yourself into a rut. This happens all the time because we do want that ego boost. We do want to look at our art and feel the high of having created something so beautiful, and that is perfectly natural. But the thing to remember is that that painting is not your ceiling, it is your new floor. You are not to aspire to recreate that same level of success over and over again, but rather to use that as your new base level and build up from it. Yes, you should celebrate your incredible art, and yes, it is important to replicate your success to ensure that it's not just a fluke. But once you've learned you can create at a certain quality, it is time to venture further. Stick to what works is advice I've seen thrown around a lot, but it is important to remember that that is a concept from the old school marketing playbook. We live in a different time now, one where the only way to survive and thrive is to evolve and experiment. So when you find a skill upgrade that you're so happy about, celebrate it, replicate it, and then build up from it. This next bit of advice is something my aunt gave me a long time ago, and funnily enough, it was her birthday this week. And this advice wasn't even in the context of art, it was actually like a safety warning when I was leaving to go to a different country. It is to always keep your eyes and ears open. Look, the world around us can be overstimulating, and it can be absolute hell to be present all the time. We often want to shut off, plug our headphones in, and zone out. But sometimes things can calm down. The world quietens enough for you to safely take the earplugs out and take some deep breaths. In those moments, make sure you have your eyes and ears wide open. I believe that the most profound parts of life happen when it is calm around you, when the world is still, it's just you and the silence. That is when inspiration strikes, and in my experience, it is when the most intense nugget of wisdom hits you. But if we're constantly switched off, then we leave in our wake trillions of tiny little moments that hold infinite potential. Look, I'm not one to lecture. I have my headphones in most of the time because I like to feel a semblance of control over the noises that across my senses. But when it's quiet, when I'm the only one in the room, when the lights are dim and it's just me and the dog and a cup of coffee, that's when I listen. That is when I look around. Search for those moments of peace, and when they happen, just listen to what's happening in your mind. You've likely had a ton of inspiration flood you without even being consciously aware of it. This one is kind of a very specific tip for those of you who want to build a career out of doing art commissions. The best clients you'll ever work with are the ones that find you, not the ones that you find. Oftentimes, when a potential commission comes your way, it is because the client has looked at your work, enjoys it, and is specifically looking to have your art in their home or on their project. These are the clients who will happily pay whatever it costs, won't ask you to change your style, and give minimal revisions, if any. These are the clients who trust you to do your work. Am I saying that the clients that you approach off a job listing will all be awful? No. I mean, they might be, but it could go either way. But I found that people who approach me about my art truly mean business and truly allow me to be the creative lead. And the reason people even approach me for commissions is because I spend most of my time working on building an online presence. I make videos, I share my art online, I build a community. It's about understanding that you have a skill that will truly make a difference to someone's life, and then going out and making noise about it. Now, am I a marketing genius? No. Do I have the biggest social following? No. But that is my goal. It is not to chase clients, it is to get clients to approach me. That way, I know my time isn't going into a project that I don't feel emotionally connected to, and I am instead being rewarded for doing what I love to do. Do you need to have an online presence? No. Build a presence in your local community instead. Go to events, spread the word about what you do, be loud and proud. It doesn't matter where you build your presence as long as you're growing an audience. I just chose the internet because I don't like going outside. You do you. Focus on building a brand that people are talking about, and you will see the clients come rolling in. And that's some of the art advice that I would give my younger self. Of course, there's a ton more where that came from, but I don't want this video to drag on forever. But would you like a part 2? Comment below to let me know. With the sketch we've worked on today, I wanted my primary hero element to actually be the water pouring out of the giant urn. It doesn't seem like the hero element right now, but when the values and colors come in, it should make a little more sense. But I love the sketch so far. Okay, you guys, it's your turn now. What art advice would you give your younger self? Is there any advice in this video in particular that really resonated with you? Comment below and let me know. And of course, if this video helped you in any way and if you enjoyed watching it, then please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel so much. And next week, we're diving into a style study that was actually picked by my patrons as well as my members on my Discord server. So make sure you have your notifications turned on so you know when the style study drops. And if you'd like to vote on these polls as well every single month, then make sure you join my Discord server. Link is down below because that's where I share the poll link as well. Better yet, have first dibs on all the style study polls, as well as bonus content that I don't post on YouTube, which includes all my speed paint start to finish and my custom brush kit that I made from scratch, all on my Patreon. My patrons get first access to all of my art in very high quality, as well as my complete collection of several hours of art tutorials where we go over drawing, rendering, sketching, proportions, stylizations, lighting, color, how to paint a portrait from scratch. It's all on my Patreon. I'll leave a link up here. You would be really supporting my channel. And yeah, thanks so much for checking it out. Alrighty, you guys, that's about everything I wanted to talk to you about in this video. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. If you're looking for 10 tiny little tips that have completely changed my life as an artist, you should check out this video down here that I posted a couple weeks ago. It will change your life. So check that out here in the outro, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!